Our representatives, our senators need to hear from us that we want comprehensive immigration passed.
On Thursday, November 13th at the St. Francis Center, Briarcliff's Social Work Department gave students as well as the public an opportunity to experience what it's like to get in line at an immigration simulation. There were stations set up around St. Francis, which included attorneys, scanners, social services, a bank, and even an embassy, which is the place to go to apply for a visa to get into the United States. All forms had to be filled out in each station to make the simulation appear realistic. All stations are separate and they all cost money. Immigrations of custom enforcements were walking around, keeping track of those who were trying to fake their identities and arrest them and deport them back to where they came from. For some, getting through the process without encountering ICE was an issue.
Our information didn't match, so now we're being deported.
Trying to squeeze everything into a 1 hour segment was pretty difficult, so a lot of the times, filling out a form does not take a couple years as it would, a simulation.
Although this is a simulation, many will still fail to complete the process of immigration.
I couldn't go stand at any of the tables without being brought right back.
Honestly, that's how there's millions of people in this country who are feeling like that. They're always looking over their shoulder. They're always running. They're always trying to live in the shadows. We have clients every day who don't want to tell us their real names and their real full story.
For one participant, the simulation time frame made it impossible for her to bring her children into the United States.
In the simulation, I was a 57-year-old widow, and I was coming here as a refugee, so I had to obtain my green card, and it ended up taking, I spent 19 minutes waiting around for the time to pass between when I got my green card and when I could apply for U.S. citizenship. So even though the simulation was 20 years long, I just barely was able to become a U.S. citizen, and I had 2 children that started as minors when the simulation began, but by the time the simulation was approaching the end, they were over 21. So by the time the simulation ended, I had spent $20,000 and waited the whole 20 years. I had just become a U.S. citizen, but neither of my 2 children were able to come to the United States.
Ultimately, those who participated and made it through the immigration process were sworn into the United States.
Absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty frustrating, but I think I learned a lot in the process, and I have a whole new respect for a lot of things, put a lot of things in perspective. Even though I was in jail half the time and being deported, I think it was worth my time to do that.
Part of the process and the experience was to have people understand the process, but also know what it feels like to go through the process, and also know what it feels like not to be able to apply at all.
And that's how it is for people. Sometimes they can't really do anything for 20 years until that process is sometimes immigration says, okay, at this time, that's how it's going to be, and you just have to wait till that time gets here. And so sometimes people think that, oh, it can't go faster, but in reality, it can't go faster. That's just how immigration works.
Unfortunately, that's the harsh reality some may face when trying to get into the States. This has been Chris Young for Electronic Media.